Hello, Texas, and welcome to the Hello Texas podcast with Tim Murphy and Steve Peters. This week, the guys sit down with Texas musicians Towne Adams and Storm Simpson of the Towne Adams Band. We hope you enjoy the conversation.
When you left me right there on our street,
The Shield with Michael Chickens.
Yeah.
That is.
I've never watched it. I just started it, and
Dude, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm on season
that's
2.
the pleasures of getting old, especially like he's talking about. Didn't drink anything. But
I drank. I just wasn't enough to be.
Man,
wasn't enough to feel the way you do.
1 o'clock in the morning, we was burning it hard. I mean, we got home from Gatesville at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it was hardcore. We was.
So, all right, let's start.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're ready? Hey.
Hello, Texas.
Texas. I don't know which one I'm looking at. We'll look at one of them. I'll look at that one, that one.
We don't know. We're making this up as we go along.
Oh, we're smiling? Melissa's telling us we should be smiling.
We got
Okay, we're smiling.
I'm Steve Peters. We got Tim Murphy. We got 2 guests this week.
Yeah, Towne Adams from the Towne Adams Band and Storm from
The Towne Adams Band.
Adams Band. And man, you guys last minute, thank you for doing this.
our honor, our pleasure.
Yeah.
No, it's,
Thanks for having us.
Without a doubt. It's funny, seen Storm last week out here, and we've talked about doing a thing with Towne and them, and we talked about some of your Storm's other projects, and you're doing interviews with them. And
I did tell you, call me anytime.
yeah,
so,
and he did. He actually said, call me anytime. Little did he know I was going to go, hey, man, in like 4 hours from now, can you and Towne be at the backyard? Listen, don't worry. We don't have a clue what the hell we're doing either.
So let me call my people.
Yeah, but would you call your people and get back with my people? It was one of those things. But the people was really just me and Storm.
So Tim and I did a crash course on y'all this morning, is what he's saying.
It's like detention.
Which isn't a deep dive for today, but
well, maybe because I think it's a pretty good dive because I dig your music. I dig your sound.
I appreciate
it. And kind of going from some of the older stuff, and we had to do a little digging, because you can't find that stuff on Spotify. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, Spotify's new, so all the other stuff's on the old format.
And 10,000 Miles. I love that song, and I've heard that before, and I like that song.
Appreciate it.
And
so let's talk. Let's introduce everybody to you. Who are you? Where are you from? How'd you get here?
I'm originally from Austin, and moved here when I was 9 or something. Mm-hmm. And I've been in Waco. Bounced around, did the Nashville thing for a whole second, and went to California for a second. Staying with Shooter Jennings' house. That was weird.
Wow.
And stuff like that. But I'm back in Waco.
The black hole sucks you back in.
But I like Waco because it's cool. It's in between everything, and you can afford your bills here, so it's easier to travel.
It is.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle of everything.
It's hard in Texas, yeah.
But and you can still kind of separate from the wild and crazy, zany, seedy, toxic music scene here that's found. I probably shouldn't say all that, but it's found in Austin.
It used to be found in Austin. Austin's not really the same. It's changing. Things are changing.
It's changed a lot.
I feel there's more Austin soul here these days than there is in Austin anymore.
Well, I think that's kind of it. You can get away from what the hardcore drive of it and still be back in Waco because there is super talented people.
Oh, there's so many talented
here.
guys in the Waco area. Absolutely.
And I think I read something on your website. You're doing a project. It's been a few years ago. With people like Jeremy Bryant. If you don't know, a lot of people, unless they've been hardcore in the red dirt, you say Jeremy Bryant. So
they don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Jeremy go. So
Yeah.
But that there's a lot of talent right there, especially from him, his dad, the whole circle that he rides with. I get that.
All those circles start to kind of intertwine. Guys that Towne works with, and there's other people that I do work with.
Yeah.
The Jeremy Woodalls who played with Billy Joe Shaver, and I've done some stuff with him, and the John Dempsey's, who's one of my favorite artists, and he's helped produce the last 2 records that we've done were produced by John Dempsey, and he's one of the biggest talents I think in Texas.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
About to go back in the studio with him, actually.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, we were just talking about it last week.
That is cool. That is amazing.
So how'd you fall into music? How of everything you could have chose, why this?
Why music?
Yeah.
Well,
He couldn't do anything else.
that too. Most of my family plays instruments that are out of Gatesville and Mahia.
Mhm.
They're all playing fiddle and banjo and stuff like that. So I grew up doing it, and then I fell in love with punk rock when I was young, and that's what got me started.
The Gatesville punk rock. That's a theme that we've got going on right now.
Man, we just
Taylor
Let me check
Branch.
my notes.
Taylor Branch from last week.
Oh, really?
so yeah, he was.
Wow.
Where have I got it here?
What's the name of the guy?
It's funny because that's when me and Towne first became friends. That's where we bonded first musically, was punk rock.
Punk rock?
Talking about our love of punk rock as little kids. And
Garage 34 ring a bell?
yep.
All right, that was Taylor Branch's old band. Some guy named Jordan Rudy,
That name doesn't sound familiar.
father brother. That was his other band.
Who was the name of the guy that?
Often Negative was one of the punk bands. The Huntingtons,
Huntington sounds familiar.
the Queers.
Yeah, the Queers. I know the Queers.
The guy that used to bring them into Gatesville, that
Was-
ran the.
His guy was called Frankie Damage.
There you go. That's the name I was trying to.
Damage.
Man,
Yeah,
names.
from
That's all.
Waco.
That's all.
Wow.
Gatesville and Waco.
Wow.
Yes, yeah, he said they played a lot at the Jubilee Theater.
I remember the
So-
Jubilee.
I
I definitely
played- I
remember the
played
Jubilee.
there.
Yeah.
Did you?
I played the Jubilee.
So it's funny how that circle was right there the whole time too.
Right.
So did you start off as a punk rocker?
Yes.
Punk
I
rock
did.
bass player, right?
No, I started off. I just played guitar and had a couple of bands, and I was just playing guitar. But it was later in life when I got out of college. I read in the paper I was trying to go to ACC and UT,
Yeah.
and I saw the ad in the Austin Chronicle, and this band out of Houston said they're looking for a bass player, and I was just sucking in school. I've never been good at school. And I didn't play bass at all. I was just a guitar player.
That's how they all start, right?
And I answered the ad, and I went up and auditioned, and this band was out of Houston, Ty and the Semi-Automatics. I went up there and auditioned, and it was like a week later, he calls me and goes, "You got the job." I was like, "What?" And I actually went to the pawn shop and bought a bass. I didn't even own a
Didn't even
bass.
own a bass. So
No.
you showed up, played theirs.
Yeah, and I get the job with him, and like I went down and rehearsed with the band, and they're all like phenomenal musicians. It's a blues rock band, and I had to ask the guy afterwards. I go, "How did I get this job? Why did I have this job?" He goes, "Well, you're the only one that seemed dedicated," and he goes, "But actually, you were the worst bass player we tried out." And I was like, "Okay,
So
That's a commitment right there.
yeah, for sure."
Little do they know, I was just the most desperate for a gig.
That was my first stint of going on the road. We would do month tours, a couple month tours, going up to. We played all over the place.
How long ago was that?
That was in. Oh no, I'm going to show my age.
yeah, show
So
it.
we're all
yeah.
We're all old.
That was in the late '90s.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, late '90s, and that led on to one of my favorite artists of all time. His name's Mark Curry, and he did a lot of stuff with his brothers in No Effects and El Jefe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Really?
and he was on Virgin Records and doing stuff, and I remember buying his tape at Sound Warehouse back in the day, and I fell in love with this dude.
Sound Warehouse.
Yeah.
Well, he just said tape.
That's
Yeah,
showing your
it's a
age.
tape.
So for those
Yes.
of you who don't know,
Yeah.
we're listening to this digitally. There used to be
Yes.
this thing on reels, and it had a tape, and Google it.
Yeah, cassette tape.
You needed a pencil and some duct tape.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, splice. Yeah, you make your own.
Splice it
mixtape.
together. Yep.
But it was the coolest thing because we had a show in Houston at this place called the Urban Art Bar, and I'll never forget it because Ty called me and goes, "You won't believe who we're opening up for." I go, I have no clue. We just opened up for Delamitri. You remember them?
No,
No,
I do. Yeah.
Delamitri, Better Than Ezra, bands like that.
That brought
Yeah.
Elementary out. That's who I was thinking of as well. That's
Better than Ezra.
mid '90s right there.
Yep. And he goes, "We're opening up for your favorite man, Mark Curry." I go, "Whoa, really?" I was so stoked. Went and played the show. We did an after party and hung out with them, pool party. And after that, it was like 2 weeks later, Mark called me and goes, I just lost my bass player to the band Vertical Horizon. And
My wife's favorite, by the way.
They were just blowing up. Yeah, and he goes, you want to play bass for us? He goes, you can send you a ticket and fly you to Boston, and we're gonna have a 2-week rehearsal, and then we're doing a 3.5-month tour, going through Canada and everywhere. And I was like, I'm going.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
Yeah, I know. I went.
Talk about falling into it. That's about as fallen into as you can get.
Yeah, so I did all that. We did shows with the Limit Heads and a bunch of other stuff. It was really cool.
Wow.
Back in the day.
Back in, holy crap.
Yeah.
I don't know what. That's. What happened? So how long was you there? Just through that 3.5-month tour, or did you stay on with them for a while, or?
No, after that, he was actually going to Martha's Vineyard to record a record, and I was dating this girl, and I didn't even know she was cheating on me here in Waco.
Of course not.
In our apartment, and I came back, and he was like, let's record a song, and we're gonna stay in Martha's Vineyard. We're staying at Evan Dando's house, and I was like, that sounds great, but I got to get back to my girlfriend. Worst mistake I ever made. You know, you regret certain things in life.
Yeah.
At the time,
that is something that I totally regret.
Isn't there a song about that somewhere?
Oh, I got plenty of songs.
There's a song in there somewhere. I know there is.
Yeah. All your bio says all your songs are about cheating, drinking, lying, and losing.
So it's about that girl.
It's pretty accurate.
So
that's pretty close.
That pretty well. That does that size her up, I guess.
Well, actually, I didn't even write that line. That's the sad part about it. That's my old guitar player wrote that line.
So how did you go from being a bass player to writing your own songs and getting to where you are now?
Okay, yeah, I was always writing. I was always writing, and I always wanted to sing and stuff like that, but I wasn't a good singer. But I worked on it for years and years and years, and I just kept writing and writing. And then Mark asked me to get back in his band, and I was like, no, I'm kind of doing my own thing. And here we are now.
Cool. So your current music isn't what I would consider punk.
It's not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did that transition happen? How did you get to what Tim and I were talking earlier? I hear the Bob Dylan influence in there.
Right.
Todd Snyder got brought up. You can hear those.
Yeah, Ryan, got Todd Snyder.
Those storytelling, hard times themes going on. How did that come about?
Just probably from my folks. I mean, we were talking about cassette tapes, but 8 tracks is what I was actually introduced to, like Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, all that stuff. And I just listened to that growing up. My mom was a big hippie, and my dad's a redneck.
Who's your biggest influence, songwriting wise?
Songwriting wise, there's so many, but old school wise, I'd say John Prine.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's a good name to.
That's I can see that.
Yeah. I didn't think of that, but now that you said it.
But a lot of people have said that they can hear a lot of Dylan in me, and that's a compliment.
Oh yeah.
They said Jacob too.
Yeah. I think there was a write up in an article was written. We did a deal for the vets out in Harker Heights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, last summer before, something like that, and there was a write up in an article, and they said something about like lyrically it's very Dylan, but there is a lot of Jacob Dylan in the voice, that gravel. And
that was down in Nolanville. I remember y'all were.
Yeah. That was Nolanville. That sounds right.
Yep.
Well, that's one of the things when I first started playing with Towne. I had known Towne as a friend and local fellow musician, but that's one of the things when he asked me to come play with him. It's the way he writes songs. He's got that. It's a little Johnny Cash. It's a little way. It's got that old outlaw to it, but it's that petty. It's that progressive, but there's still a little. One of the first bands we ever talked about together was Social Distortion. I'm a big Mike Ness fan. So is he, and I can hear that in the music as well. And, that's what drew me to playing with Towne was we have a lot of the same kind of weird, separate influences, everything from the old outlaw to the punk rock to
So yours punk rock to metal to this?
Yeah, I mean, I play all kinds of music. I love music, I was kind of the same with him. My mom, it was, as a kid, her album collection, I remember it was in milk crates and looking through all the albums. I can still identify the covers, and it was, Three Dog Night and Led Zeppelin and the Doors and Janis Joplin, But my grandparents, it was Johnny Cash and Hee Haw,
Yeah,
Roy
oh,
Clark,
yeah.
and
Well, see, and that's that kind of brings it
that
back.
gospel Southern.
You said your mom was a hippie and your dad was a redneck.
Yeah.
Well, that just makes sense.
Yeah. So it was just kind of an influx of all that influence.
Because
It's like a big stew.
Back then, in their days, rednecks and hippies weren't considered to be a Cody Jinks song.
Right. Unless you went to Austin, Texas.
Yeah, where everything was cool.
Yeah.
It was all right to go into some bar and to see one side of it, a bunch of,
Cowboys and country boys and,
rednecks,
yeah.
With...
And that's where they were in Austin.
Yeah, hippies and stoners on the other side, yeah. Well, and I think that's the great thing about being a musician growing up in Texas is that there was never, the restraints were never put on. I remember one of my biggest restraints in high school being into heavy metal. Like I was a big Pantera fan, grew up around those guys, and they kind of made it cool. They were the Cowboys from hell. It was cool to be a little bit redneck and a little bit rock and roll, and that's in Texas. There was never those lines. You could play heavy metal and listen to country or play country, and that's always kind of what I struggled with was, well, where do I belong as a musician? And I was like, I belong as a musician.
Right.
I play where the music's good. It's not about the style. It's about the artist. And, I'm playing with Townies. We've been playing together, 7 years?
How'd y'all meet?
Like 6 or something like
How'd
that.
we meet? Probably in a bar.
We met in a bar.
I would assume it was a bar.
Oh, man. Let's hold that thought because you're talking about, kind of, you made the comment, you say, just kind of learning where you're at as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
I feel pretty good that y'all may have found that. And I want to take a break real quick, and I want to come back and let's talk about that a little bit. Y'all good with that?
Absolutely.
For a few more minutes?
Sure.
Yeah,
Hello,
let's do
Texas.
it.
We're going to do some research. We'll be right back.
Towne
With
Adams
Towne
Band.
Adams.
Right back.
To the end, I'm on my way. And I'm on my way.
Hello, Texas. This is Steve and Tim. We're here with Towne Adams and Storm Simpson. I get that right? Make
Yeah,
sure
no, you're good. So,
we're at the beautiful backyard bar,
Backyard.
stage, and grill here in downtown Waco, Texas.
and I made it official this week. I talked to Chris instead because last week we just sort of showed up and did it.
Yeah,
And
we
then
didn't ask
then
permission or
called Chris
anything.
later in the week, and I said, "Hey, we're doing this thing, man. Whatever you need,
Yeah.
Chris is a cool guy.
Oh, yeah,
so-
they're great.
yeah, but man, I you didn't need anything. I just got done having an order of Cluckers. I will.
It looked really good and really spicy and really painful.
No, it's not. It's actually kind of sweet. I think they use like cornflakes.
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
with the crust.
yeah.
It's got a sweeter. Man, just saying, it's worth the. Yeah.
I'm a food guy, and the food here's pretty dang good. So
Yeah, you are a food guy.
I like food.
Forget about that. What that?
Yeah.
So listen, right before we took a break, you had made comment to, you guys kind of sort of trying to go. Y'all kind of came from this punk era, and sort of where y'all are at now with the Towne Adams Band, and that's a little bit of a transition. We was talking about some of that old country. You know, and your mom's a hippie and dad's a redneck, and just kind of how you've made that migration. And one of the things Storm had said was, just sort of trying to find where do you fit in as a musician. And man, I think a lot of people do that, but I think where you're at right now, especially with the sound that Frisco has, and that's
Frisco's your current single.
that's
Yes.
our current single.
Came out in May, I think.
Yeah.
somewhere around there, yeah.
Yep.
And
Right when Corona hit, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Look,
exactly.
look,
Right when they shut us down.
We talked
Yeah.
last week about, is it the attitude? Is it the lyric, the melody? I think we decided that you're more about the overall attitude. For me, it's the lyric. And
Yeah.
Frisco has the "you let me in and then left me out" line that just put you on my playlist immediately.
Oh,
and
cool.
when I listened to it this morning, I remembered that line. I was like, God, it's a great one of those lines that should be on a T-shirt.
It's a
Yeah.
I don't want to say bumper sticker from a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But it should be.
It is a great line, and then followed with "I'll be gone tomorrow."
Right.
I mean-
right. Just
Yeah.
there, but
Well,
Yeah.
and that just, I think for the sound of that, I know sometimes musicians struggle to hear this, but and I think the way I like to try to tell people is whenever we say you sound like somebody, I'm not saying you sound like them, but if you like these other musicians, these guys are going to kind of fit in with this as well.
Right.
You don't sound like anybody. I want to be
Right,
clear.
no,
but I hear you with a kind of, there's a Todd Snyder-esque kind
The
of
storytelling
but
a little
even
bit.
more so, man, these are songs that should be on the ranch. Is the ranch still even a thing? You know,
It is.
Yeah.
The Ryan Bingham and,
Yeah.
and these guys. You know, there's some of those sounds. That you've got this sound that should be soundtracked on some of these shows, and it very much it's a really gritty.
Yeah, I was gonna say
grovelly-
gritty. It's not overproduced. It's just kind of who Towne is and
I mean,
who
that's
the
just
band
it.
is.
I believe you could over. You're one of those artists. I believe you could overproduce, and it still
Absolutely.
come across just cool AF. You know what I mean? It still have that gritty, raw, whatever it is that people like me are drawn to that sound of. You still
Right.
got it. But what is that something you think y'all developed to get to that, or is that just?
I
your
think it's just who
sound?
Towne is as an artist, and then like when you put him and I together, he writes pretty much most of the music. I do some arranging and stuff, and I just bring my sound to it. But I think it's who he is as an artist. It's
Yeah.
just it's really Towne's brain and heart on a plate, served up. And
how
then
do
we
you
just,
write? Locked room by yourself,
Depends.
driving. Where's that come from?
Just at home, all up all night, kind of stuff. And
Do you have to plan on it, or
14
it just
keystones
comes
in,
out?
and
no, it usually just comes to me, and then some like even Frisco, the melody, I wrote that 8 years ago, and it was a different song for a second, and I never liked it. It bothered me forever, and then I wrote the lyrics for Frisco, and I was looking for music for it, and I just started playing. I was pulling up old songs, and that song was just, the lyrics just fit it perfect. I was like, sold.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it happens that way because we've written some songs where we just kind of, Towne has some lyrics and a riff, and we come into practice and we just kind of piece it together. And sometimes he shows up and goes, "Look what I wrote," and I think it's just every song comes in its own format, and I think that's why the songs are the way they are when they're recorded. They speak because they come from a real place. They're not forced or fabricated or let's write a song about this, or Towne just writes from what he thinks, what he feels, what he's going through, and we all just kind of put our emotion into it.
So
And
you've been through some stuff then.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because a lot of people, like you were saying, don't really listen to the words. They just listen to the melody, right?
Right.
And they're just like, oh man, you got some really cool songs, upbeat songs. But if you actually listen to the words, you're like,
It's
not.
exactly.
yeah, that's why
Yeah.
Towne's the
That-
master of writing a happy beat. Like, what is it? The do 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 do. Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Semi Charm Kind of Life. It's like, oh, that's a great pop song. No, it's not. It's really dark. And Towne writes a lot of dark lyrics, but he puts it over this kind of grooving beat, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not as, it's kind of sad,
But I
So it
think
really
it's kinda
tugs
the-
at your
I think it's
heartstrings in
kinda the
different
appeal of
ways.
it though,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's kind of
That's the angle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not even an angle. It's just the way Towne writes,
Yeah.
And that's what drew me to playing music with him. Is it's just
Well, let's go back. There's more members of the band.
Yeah.
Who else is in the band?
Chris Mejia and Jody Harlan.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jody plays guitar. Great guitar player. He's played with a lot of bands around town over the years. And Slow Ember was that's when I first met Jody. He was guitar player of Slow Ember, which is John Maxwell and Derail and Jimmy Kynard and Gary Summers. That was their band, 90s into the 2000s. And they were all together in one rock band. And yeah, phenomenal band.
Jimmy. I remember the first time I seen Jimmy play. Where was that? Was it at Lakeside?
Mm-hmm.
And who was he playing with?
Miles Williams.
Was it Miles?
Miles.
Oh, Miles, yeah.
Filling in for Miles, and they were
That was.
trying out Lockenberg as a.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I remember that.
And
I remember that.
just being kind of blown away by him.
Oh,
I mean,
Jimmy
he just
Jimmy
had
K
the
is a
ball.
great bass player.
Yeah,
Great
he's
bass
just
player.
doing his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes it look effortless. Yeah.
I
Guys
think
like
that's
him
what
make
it
me
is.
work harder, you know.
Yeah, I think that's what it is because he stands up there and he
Yeah.
just kind of has his presence, and it's like,
Oh, you know, he
I
did.
don't care.
They did that. Him and Brian Brown, they do their stuff together. They did some. You know, he's the one that put the Iron Maiden. That.
Yeah.
You know, like blows me away.
That's incredible.
So y'all been around for a while as a band.
Right.
How
Yeah.
when did y'all start?
I started doing my own projects in 1999.
Wow.
So I've been doing it a while.
Yeah.
And the weird transition was it was more rock when I started, and then getting older, I just kind of slowed down because at first it was kind of doing the kind of Stones kind of thing.
And you
then
played like South by Southwest.
Yes, I got signed at South by Southwest.
Did you really?
To a record label, and it folded right before I was going to put out a record.
Who signed you? I mean,
Pinch Hit Records out of Torrance, California.
really?
Yep.
Wow.
And you've toured the country.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking, a little while ago about a bar that you've been to, or a venue you've been to.
Yes, Smith's Old Bar in Atlanta.
Yep.
I remember I think the first time I went there was with Melissa, and we seen, was it Jason Eady
And Adam Hood.
and Adam Hood?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Southern Brothers.
My first show was Jason Bowen and the Stragglers there.
Jason Boland.
Oh, and the
cool.
Stragglers.
Love the Stragglers.
Well, and I just quick side note. I remember the song that Edie's got out now, called "Why I Left Atlanta," used to not sound. It sounded nothing like that. So whenever that song was they were first working it out, it was a lot slower. It didn't have kind of that dink dink sound to it. It's got now, but I've got that on YouTube somewhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so-
it's kind of just one of those.
It's cool to hear them when they're in
See
their
a song
infancy,
evolve.
and then yeah.
You mentioned that was one of your favorite places to play.
Yeah,
what,
I love
what,
that place.
What are your favorite places to play that you've been around and seen? And just
That's one of them. In LA, I love playing in a place called the Dragonfly. It's a lot better than the Whiskey A Go Go and stuff like that. And everybody wanted to play the Viper Room. And the first time I went and played the Viper Room was actually with Shooter Jennings, and I think it was him. Yeah, and Carter. And it's just a little rinky-dink place, but it's nostalgic.
It's the vibe.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the vibe you feel there.
you got to play there once.
Yeah, you gotta play everywhere once. Try to at least.
Right.
If you're lucky, you play there twice.
It's
But
just the
weird you
Viper
brought
Room.
up-
No, we're going to play
It's
there
weird you
again.
brought up Jason Eady and other musicians because since I started this band, I've had a lot of guitar players.
Yeah.
He's been my longest bass player ever, and John Laufenberg played with us for about 2 years, a year and a
Year and a
half.
half or so, yeah.
Yeah, he played with us for a while, and then you were talking about Edie,
Yeah.
and Nick Dennard was my guitar player for like 5 years, and
Forgot
Dave,
about
Dave
it.
Doran
Big old
played with
circle.
us.
Dorn,
Dave Doran played
yeah.
guitar with us for a
I've
while.
had a lot of guitar players.
Holy crap.
Oh, yeah, guitar players high demand. Those good ones are hard to keep around. They get busy with other projects, and
Another band come along and say, hey,
mm,
yeah, at some point, what's it pay?
sometimes
Yeah.
wives and girlfriends get involved.
Yeah.
You never know.
Exactly. You find out they were cheating on you back in Waco.
Very true.
What?
So you mentioned you're going back into the studio. A single album, EP, what's coming up?
It's just gonna be a couple of singles. I'm going in with what's his name?
John Dempsey.
John Dempsey and Josh Bernard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Some
yeah.
solid
In
human
his-
beings
in
right
his
there.
Studio.
Great
Oh,
musicians.
yeah,
great-
that's right. So his studio's all done over there?
Yeah. I mean, I'm
Supposedly.
sure it's a work in progress always,
It's like,
but yeah.
It always is. That's cool.
But I'm tracking guitars and tracking guitars at Dempsey's apartment.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna just to save money, and then we're moving it to the
To the thing,
studio.
put it all together.
Yeah, and then start
to
doing
mix
drums
it,
and stuff like
all
that.
that stuff together. So,
Yeah.
Briscoe, you release that as a single.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be that kind of the formula these days is, it used to be, we're going to put together this six song EP, or we're going to put together this 12, 13 track full length album, and then you had to figure out which one was going to go first, and you had to do, the whole radio promotion.
Well, the industry was a little different too, I think.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's-
financially, it makes more sense these days.
But that's
You
what I was
know.
going to ask, because you guys are a little bit more mature than 1999, and the industry's changed, and it sounds
Yeah.
like y'all are sort of trying to follow maybe that same pattern.
I think if we had the money and the backing, we'd go
that's what I was
record a
going to
full
ask.
album right now.
Is it financial or is it just?
I mean,
is it just
financial
doing what
drives
you
a
can
lot
do?
of it.
It's both
You know?
because I mean, I miss the days when you just go to a radio station and give them a CD, you know, and
Yeah, it
those
just
days are
don't work that way
gone.
anymore,
No.
does it?
Yeah.
You got to find rinky-dink guys like us and hope, you know,
Yeah.
we'll push you a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, scratch my back.
I mean,
scratch your
Where's my
I
CD?
call it what it is.
Well, and,
I don't mind.
yeah, the
I'm
internet's
good with
changed
that.
everything, you know, and the ability to record music's different, you know, and so, you know, you got, you know, SoundCloud musicians and YouTube musicians, so everybody's just pumping music out, so.
Well, so we
Yeah.
talked earlier before we come on, the market's kind of saturated.
Yeah, it is.
it is.
So,
for
so
sure.
it's sort of, and then, you know, whenever you are putting out a single, you know, you go to Spotify and it pays you half to a third cent per
Yeah.
spin. Well, you know you're not making any money there. So it's obviously, I think we cleared it. That's just nothing but exposure.
Well, everything nowadays is Spotify downloads, views. You know, that's
Yeah.
what helps with booking. It helps with
Right.
anybody
It's all
in the
about
industry
the
that wants to pay
beginning.
attention to you. How many Spotify views do you have? How many
Sure.
followers do you have? You know, it's not like. I mean, yeah, I guess it's still how many people can you put in a club, but nowadays it's how many people follow you, how many likes do you have, and
I think it's that same buzz of it, just instead of, you know, oh man, I heard those guys pack, you know, 300 people into a
Right.
150 seat venue the other night. I heard, you know, it was you know how that buzz used to
Right.
go around, but everything was a lot slower. You didn't have the internet, you didn't have somebody being live every time you
Right.
turned around, and so you're right. Is that so? Even if you had the money to go full length album, what would it benefit you to do that with today's formula? It seems of let's just do the one single, money wise
Right.
and everything. I think even if you had the money, to me it seems like even if you had the money going towards to do it a single at a time, financially would still be beneficial. Do you agree with that, or
absolutely.
do you think that a full length album gains you something other than just?
Well,
the
right
feel
now
of
with
it?
COVID, you can't even tour to promote a full length album, so
Right.
really you're almost going to lose money, you know, because when you do a full length album, you've got to get out there and push it. Just like with a single, it's been hard, even with us just trying to push the single.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard enough to push it with COVID and the internet, just get it out there, get people listening to it, you know, and.
Especially, I mean, the only way you can make money these days is playing live and selling merchandise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask: is the merch a bigger component of your shows now?
It really is.
To
Yeah.
make
I think
up
it
that
always
difference?
has been, though. I mean,
Yeah.
if even in the old days, merch was always the biggest way to make your money.
But
you know.
now, but there's some other layers maybe that's just been peeled back, and maybe shown that a little bit.
Absolutely.
So we talked about COVID. How is COVID? How
Big of a hit.
how big of a hit do you think COVID has caused, especially with you guys releasing a song right after
Yeah.
the
I think that's the
lockdown?
biggest hit for us. I mean, yeah, there's been less shows, but I mean,
Less
taking a hit on
exposure.
shows is one thing, but when we're trying to promote a single
Right.
and you know it's charting, it's right there in that top 100,
Yeah.
you know, and on the Texas charts, you know, it's like the only way to get it up there is to get out there and get it in front of people, and it's hard to do that, you know. So it's just been a lot of online promoting, talking to friends, networking, trying to just
word of
push
mouth
it, push
kind
it
of
word
stuff.
of mouth instead of pushing it on stage, you know.
So that's kind of this kind of changes so that the COVID. Hopefully you had a good network before this started, because it's going to make it a whole lot easier for you to talk to people. Hey, bro, when this
Yeah.
thing is
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
can we play?
And that's
Yeah.
the double-edged sword of social media. You know, it makes our jobs harder at times, but it also gives you tools to use to just pump it out there.
Yeah,
and,
and to kind
you
of
know,
be able to build
spread
that
it
thing.
beyond your own community. You know,
But even during COVID, we made some good, starting to work with some good sponsors.
yeah,
So,
yeah, we've had people
Like-
some great sponsors,
like-
Panhandle Hat
Yeah, Panhandle
Company,
Hat
other
Company.
side.
yeah.
Oh, I got it.
It's on that
He was
side.
showing it to me. We got this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got you, man.
yeah, no, we started working with Sebi Music Group, and they've been doing a lot for us, really
Yeah.
pushing us and helping us out. And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a whiskey deal too. That might be scary though.
Isn't it whiskey and
Whiskey and
tequila?
no,
Isn't it tequila too?
no vodka,
Whiskey and vodka,
which is even worse.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to take a break real quick, and I want to
Okay.
talk about where some of that stuff might be taking you going down the road, and kind of what maybe get a little bit of an idea of what the framework, what the Towne Adams band is going to look like, you know, in 2021. If y'all are good with that, stick around for a little bit longer.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back.
Right back.
To the end, I'm on my way.
Hello, Texas.
Hello, Texas.
We're back. And
Oh my
it's
God!
the stuff between the
Man,
between the cuts that we need to.
breaks are, we should probably just be recording that. I don't know what Melissa's recorded over there.
So in the 30 seconds that we were away, we've learned that Towne's a vegetarian
Yeah.
for 30 years, not
Plant
eating
eater.
meat.
Well, actually, I'm a pescatarian.
A
Pescatarian.
pescatarian.
Yes,
Does that mean you
I
like
started
eating
eating
bugs?
fish.
Bugs
Okay.
and leaves.
Yeah.
So why was that a choice or a medical condition?
No,
Why's
my-
it got to be a medical condition?
Yeah.
It doesn't. That's what I'm asking. Did you just
Yeah.
choose, or
You
do you?
just don't like cow.
I like cow, so I'm asking
Maybe
why.
you don't.
I never really, I never really ate meat. I mean, my mother grew me up as a vegetarian, and so I never really ate meat. I mean, the only meat I really ate was like double R here in town.
Because it's good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Good is not the
It
word.
is.
Good is not the word. Good is not the word.
Trust me, I still love the smell of meat cooked,
Yeah.
but I don't eat it.
Think
Bacon
your
might
thing.
kill him.
But I eat fish though. I do, and I just started doing that like 8 years ago, I guess.
You had a hard time for that. I mean, you don't look. Everybody's always said, if you don't eat meat, you can just look at somebody and tell. I mean, you look pretty normal. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, you don't look.
What is normal?
Yeah.
I mean, you look like a Waco white boy. That's you don't look.
Waco white boy.
Yeah.
There's a song right there. There's your next single. So.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say you look like a basic white bitch. I just
Yeah.
like a Waco white boy. Whatever that looks like. We're not trying to stereotype, but if we were
Right.
stereotyping, that's how I'd.
You get a lot of calories from Lone Star.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
And we also learned that you can't hear a word we're saying.
What'd you say?
See?
Yeah.
That right there.
He is deaf.
He said
Yeah.
playing the bass with your ear to the monitor.
To the
and-
speaker. Yeah. I
So
thought that was
is
a good
that what
idea.
these guys are doing whenever they're bass, however that goes?
I don't know.
up
I don't
here?
play like that. So
Because I've seen that before, and I'm like, are they sticking their ear to it, trying to hear it, or? But you said, we're closer to the speaker.
Yeah.
it was more about, I think, for Towne, a stylistic thing. Just
It was.
that
It
way you
was
stand.
both,
You
yeah.
know, I grew up a Duff McKagan fan, so I've always played bass real
Low
low
slung,
because
yeah.
Duff McKagan was kind of my childhood bass prodigy idol.
What's his name? Trujillo or whatever.
Robert Trujillo,
Robert
yeah,
Trujillo.
Ozzy and Metallica, another
Yeah.
one.
Oh.
I mean, like I'm a big fan of Victor Wooten, but those guys all play up here, and I
Yeah.
can't play that well.
I'm
I'm
just being honest. I think it looks cool whenever you
Yeah,
play
oh.
it low and slow.
yeah,
That's how I played bass too.
I play rock and roll, and bass is just the instrument I use. Like it's not about bass players, those true guys. I'm
That's
not
cool.
one.
Do your thing. Let's take it.
Yeah, just slay
Yeah.
it low and thump it hard. Hell, I just started using my fingers about 5 years ago. That was a whole transition for me, going from playing with a pick to learning how to actually use my fingers. Like, I feel like a bass player now.
Well, yeah. Well, that was the thing is like when I started playing with Mark Curry, when I went up there for that 2-week rehearsal or whatever, I was playing with a pick. I was doing it straight up like Better Than Ezra style, just going dun 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 dun, dun that kind of style. And I got up there, and he's more blues rock, a little punk, and he's like, "You're not playing with a pick anymore." I go, "Well, I don't know how to."
That's kind of what you did to me
That's
when
what
I started
did to
playing with
him.
him.
So I pulled the same move
Yeah.
on him.
Yeah, because when I came to
I'm
play
like,
with
no
Towne,
more
I'd been
pick.
playing with Avenue Rage and playing metal, and he was like, "No pick," and I was
No
like,
pick.
I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
then I quit."
Yeah.
He was like, "No, you don't." So, but that's the great thing about playing with Towne is it was still my style, but he pushed me to evolve my style and get more comfortable with playing differently. And now, when I play with Avenue Rage and and I play rock music, still it's the combination of the two styles now. It's kind of become mine, and that's all because Towne wouldn't let me play with a pick.
But that
Yeah.
counts.
You know.
Pushing somebody to be better.
Absolutely.
That's signs of leadership.
That takes some confidence to tell
Leadership.
somebody, no, you're not doing it that way. You're doing it my way. And
Right. And I mean, like I got pissed off when that happened to me, and he got pissed off too when I did it to him. But you evolve from it,
Yeah.
and you become a better musician when you're more world round,
Yeah.
You can just
and kudos for not quitting.
No,
Yeah.
I don't quit.
For a minute.
I'm a whole
Good
asser.
job, buddy. Good
My dad
job.
taught me
Yeah.
never half-ass anything, so I'm a whole asser.
yeah.
So, let y'all talked about Frisco. We had said something earlier. You wanted ready. You want to hopefully cut a video for Frisco. But
Actually, we're going to do a video for the next single that's coming out in the spring.
that's what I was wanting to go to.
Yeah, Frisco's not the one we're doing the video to at this point. Like the next one is the one we actually want
Since
to put a video.
Frisco's kind of played a little bit, this time
Yeah,
to move on to the next.
Yeah, we're starting to prep for the spring. We've got the rest of winter to work on the video and get everything, which is going to be really hard trying to film a video for a spring release video that's going to be filmed in the winter.
Everybody in their swimsuits and
Like,
shivering.
all right, let's put the top down of the car and action. Okay, it's 30 degrees out, but it's supposed to be springtime.
Let's get an idea of what that looks like.
Right.
We are in Texas, y'all.
Yeah.
It is winter, and it's a high of
It's fall.
70 today.
There's leaves on the ground. I'll call it fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have 3 seasons in Texas.
Man, we can get down to South Texas if that's what
there
it
we
takes.
go. Go down to the
It
Rio Grande Valley.
can work out. You
So-
just don't get kidnapped.
So the next single, you want to talk about it?
Sure.
What's the name of it?
Dead End Road, and it was inspired after Petty died.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've always been a Petty fan, and I don't know. I just started writing one night, and it just came to me, and it's a cool song. It's more rock, and
It's got a Petty vibe to it. It does. I mean, it obviously was inspired by Petty, so we stole a little of that, that that Petty
That drive?
vibe,
drive.
but it's Towny for sure.
But I
It's
think
kind of homage.
Yeah.
yeah, kind of
Not a bad
yeah.
person to
No.
So-
I mean,
Of
one the
course,
greatest.
yeah.
model out.
But I was kind of like when it was coming up to releasing it, which we're about to do pretty soon. I was kind of worried about it a little bit because, especially being on the Texas country charts, it's not Texas country. I mean, we're considered Americana, but it's more rock. But then I started noticing like the Co-Wetzels,
Right.
and
I
people
was
like
just
that.
gonna say-
Branch,
I was like,
Yeah.
we're still
What
trying
is-
to figure out what Texas country is.
Yeah, now it's
Well, I
a
think it's
little bit of-
evolving. I think
Yeah.
red dirt's
Yes.
becoming more black dirt.
So
it's,
now I'm not worried about releasing it at all.
Right.
Because I've heard all the new singles that are coming out by these bigger artists. And, I mean, they're just rocking it out,
You're a Texas country artist. You could
Right.
release a Hawaiian
Yeah.
music
Album.
and it could chart on Texas country because that's who you are.
But I like a
Don't do that.
Jack Johnson song.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do a kids album next.
Yeah.
Lullabies. by
Hey, they
Towne
sell.
Adams.
They sell.
Go to sleep so I can drink my beer.
So what is that? What is it
Look at
like,
Charlie
though?
Waffles. He sold
We seem to keep
Catch
having
that,
this
Charlie
come up.
Waffles. 3.5 men. What would it say? 3.5
2.5
men.
men.
Charlie Waffles.
Charlie Waffles.
Yeah.
I bet that would sell like hotcakes.
Go to sleep so I can crack this beer.
Yeah.
I get that.
Actually, me and my
We're
buddy.
falling off the rails here.
Me and my buddy at the bar, we're working on a couple of songs. One of them, Don't Steal It, who's ever listening, but it's called Keep Your Pecker in Your Pants.
Yeah.
That's one I
Oh, now we're going Willie Walker Jr.
Yeah.
Walker Jr. Man,
Yeah.
I'd listen to it. I mean, it's funny. I don't care what.
Hey, some of Towny's best songs we've never recorded. We don't even remember how to play the next day, but like about third set, 3 hours in, Towny will just start making something up and start singing, and we just go, okay, follow. Some of the greatest songs. I'm like, next day I'll call him like, man, we should record that. What song?
That's a good question,
I don't
though.
know how to play that
Have
one.
you ever written a song on stage? Like
Oh,
that?
we do it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that you recorded and
Actually, yeah. I did this one song, and it had a really bad version of it, but then I re-released it. It's called "Living for Nothing" is the name of the song.
It's one of my favorites, actually. That's one of my favorites. I always, on stage, that's when we don't play as often. I'm always like, let's do Living for Nothing. It's like, no, not right, not time.
I just made up a story about my father forced me to drink when I was 13 years old, and that's the reason I'm an alcoholic today. And it's complete bullshit, of course.
But it's a great story.
I could feel you going, really?
Yeah.
If you knew his dad, you would totally know. Like, okay, but it is a great story.
Man,
It's a great story, though.
there's a. I'm just going. There's a whole brand that can be done around that. I mean, there's a whole storyline you could create. Just the biggest bunch of chumped up BS over that whole story and drag that out over a season.
I call it the Jim Morrison theory. Just make shit up and stick to it. People
And go
believe
with it.
Well, one of my favorites is Dale Watson, and
Oh, yeah.
most of his songs
Yeah.
were written on stage. I Lie When I Drink, one of his biggest hits.
Yeah.
He wrote like 2 weeks before I heard him the first time, and he tried it out on stage. I'm like, just out of nowhere, he just pulled it out. And
That's a great
You're
song.
that guy.
I'm
You know,
that guy.
I think great songwriters just write songs when it comes to them, you know, and the sober ones remember it.
Or have sober ones in the band that
Yeah.
don't remember it for you. So.
Or at least have some fans that are with you enough
Yeah.
to Facebook Live
Yeah,
so
right.
you can get it
Nowadays,
the next
like,
day.
oh yeah, remember we played that song?
Oh,
It's on
that is
Facebook
pretty
Live.
good.
Right.
I didn't realize till I started interviewing that I've written a bunch of songs on the spot at shows that and I threw my dad under the bus, which is kind of unfortunate. 'Cause I got another one called "Oh Me Oh My," and I told him he forced me to have sex with this 60-year-old,
woman.
older 60-year-old woman when I was like 16.
Do you have a good relationship with your dad?
Oh, his dad's great.
Yeah.
County senior, dude, if you knew his dad, he's a great guy. Like,
I was
one
gonna
of the best dads in the world. Like,
You
all-
should, you should
maybe that's
start
nice
every
the
song
brunt of
with.
it, you know,
Yeah.
because he's the easy target, because he is not
Right.
anything what you say he is.
Does he like
Exactly.
the songs?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
If
very.
he's heard 'em.
The,
Oh,
yeah.
no, his parents are
Yeah.
some of our biggest supporters.
That is cool.
Yeah, they do a lot for us.
Are they here local?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, they are.
So
Yeah,
you
right,
could you
right.
could have him up on stage and then sing the song, and he could just shake his head no while you're singing it.
He's always wanted to write. He's written a bunch of stuff, and it's really good. It's real political though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
It's tough time, just tough climate for that.
yeah.
Really hard to get
I'm like,
uncensored support on social
yeah.
media from that. You know.
Yeah, I'm like,
Just-
I don't want to go there.
yeah,
I
no,
made a promise to somebody I would not talk about politics.
yeah, no. Steve
Me
and
too.
Steve and I
Me
had
too.
that. We don't talk about it.
I had
Yeah.
I had to retire a month and a half ago from talking about it at all. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
It gets you nowhere. Politics and religion, like unless you're in the right group of guys and the right amount of whiskey, you know.
Let me bring you
Right.
back to the song you're releasing next year. About when can we expect to see that?
well, I think the release date for Dead End Road should be. What is? Are we in
We're talking
November?
May. We're talking May, right?
No, it's
early
like
May.
2 months from now.
Okay, so
Oh,
y'all
you
gonna
already
go for that
got
February March release,
Mm-hmm.
kind of that early.
and you're about to go in and record it, right?
No, it's
No, it's already
recorded.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's the video. We're hoping to get the video done.
Got to put all that stuff together.
All goes as planned. The single will get released, and hopefully the video will follow shortly right thereafter to kind of, just keep bolstering
Kickstart
the
it.
support.
Just out of
Right,
curiosity, are y'all? I guess y'all push radio promotion and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, that's what
Yeah.
Sebi Music Group.
Is that who that is?
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that helps push all that.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's it like to have music that we was talking about that just a second ago? What's it like to have music that doesn't fit into one certain bag?
I don't really look at it like that. Like,
Especially with radio promotion. I think that's what you're asking, isn't it? That
Yeah,
you can't really go to a country station and say, "Hey, play this Tom Petty inspired song," or you can't go to a rock station and say,
Yeah.
"I'm
Yeah.
Towne Adams. I'm a Texas."
It does make it harder for terrestrial radio for sure. I mean, we've gotten some play with some iHeartMedia, and Frisco's on a lot of platforms, but
And I think it fits both. Probably,
But,
you could probably play
I-
it on both stations.
But we don't write it with a specific format in mind. We write what we write, and I think, like you were talking about earlier, Texas artists, if you fall into that blues, rock, country, Americana, it all kind of
fits
it's all
here.
molding together. I mean,
Yeah.
Cole Wetzel's one of the biggest selling artists out there right now.
Yeah.
And we're not Cole Wetzel. We don't play, but if he can do that in country radio, what we're doing in country radio works.
Right.
and
Well,
there's-
sure it does.
I'm a big Whiskey Myers fan. Those are one
Again.
of my favorite.
And there's
Southern rock and roll.
It's Southern rock.
Yeah.
It's Leonard Skinner with a Texas twist. It's a little country, a little rock and roll, a little blues, and I think it all kind of fits. And I think most people nowadays that are listening to music aren't so compartmentalized.
Well, because we're not just defined. Again, it goes back to what we were saying before. Once upon a time, you wanted to hear new music. You had a buddy showed up at your house with this tape from this jam that he was at the night before. Well,
Right.
you knew you could value his opinion,
Right.
Because he was just there for one, just
Yeah.
right there, and two, well, he's your friend and he just showed up at your house, so he's solid in your circle, and y'all probably like the same thing, so you're willing to invest your time into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's not like that.
Well, but
you
then
can
your
listen
friends
to
were five. Your
everything.
friends were 5 people in your bedroom listening to it. Nowadays, you got 4,000 friends on social media.
Right.
They're your friends, right?
There's the part I'm looking
Right.
for.
They're your
there.
friends.
Yeah.
They love you
How
just
do
as
you-
much as those 5 guys.
How do you
Do they?
How do you capitalize
Apparently.
on that and make those people your hardcore fans?
I think by treating them the way we treat everybody, you know. We're on stage, we play music, we're the musicians, the artists on stage, but we're off that stage. We're just 2 guys who like to drink shots and beers and talk to people, and we go to shows together to watch other bands.
Honestly,
you know?
that's it
Yeah.
right there. Is everybody supports everybody?
Yeah.
The Texas music. The reason I'm so in love with this genre is I'm sitting here with you guys, and I can go to a show and walk backstage and talk to the guy that just got off the stage. Everybody's so accessible, and so.
You know, like if you put me bass player musician, I put me as fan of music up
Yeah.
here. Like I'm a bigger fan of other bands than I am of my own play. Like I go watch other artists because I love music. You know, that's why I like to play music, because I love it so much. And you know, I think when you have that attitude of we're just guys who are lucky enough to get to go up there and do it.
Right.
You know,
And the
but
balls to do it.
Yeah, well, just the ability. You know, enough alcohol, I can do anything. But you know, we're lucky enough to get to play it, but it doesn't change who I am as a fan of music. And so I try to treat people who like our music the same way I would if I was liking somebody else's. You know, they're
Right.
fans. We're nothing without them. So we just treat fans like our friends because they are. You know, we'll get drunk with just about anybody.
Like one thing that I think that's really cool, especially with the networking, is like it's probably 7 years ago, but that band OK Go.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they're
great
from-
video. Great
Go
video.
watch OK Go's videos.
They did the YouTube video with the
treadmills.
treadmills.
That's
they
what
filmed
they
it all
got-
in one scene on YouTube, and it blew them up.
They just came out with another one, Marching Band. I just saw
Yeah?
a couple days
they,
ago.
They put out the coolest videos, and they have the cool sound. You know, it's not Texas country at all.
No,
It's
no.
like rock. And but the cool thing about that band is like when I saw them like 7 years ago, I guess, in Austin, they had the place sold out. But as soon as they got off stage, the whole band had pen and paper and were going around trying to get people to sign their mailing list. They were just going through the crowd.
Yeah.
Still networking, man.
Yeah.
Just
They're-
still.
they're-
still works.
they're-
Instead of playing Rockstar after the show, they're
No.
just hey, help us out. Get on
those
your
guys,
list.
those
What
guys
do you
are
know
social
this?
media geniuses. They
Yes,
they
they are.
started it.
Oh yeah,
They totally understand the value of a music
They
video.
use the media, social media, and their creativity to break them as a band without record label help.
And
all
some
that.
of their videos are like Guinness Book of World Record type.
Yeah,
videos.
we drink way too much to be
The-
walking on treadmills like that. But
the one of the I call it the domino fall, but it wasn't domino. It was just the where the ball hits this and that. It goes on for 5 minutes, and the fact that they just finished the video, it was an achievement in itself.
I just want to know how many takes you have to do to get that
But
one.
watching,
I
watching
bet
groups
thousands.
like that is really inspiring. You know, it's
Yeah,
just like
I get that.
You can do so much. You can do so much if you just put the work in.
Well, you know,
Right.
yeah, it's like we were talking about a couple weeks ago. You know, when we were kids, like it was so hard. Like the thought of making a record was a big deal because you had to find the studio and have money, and you know, to make a video was unheard of. You know, and nowadays with technology, like you can make a video like that. You can record in your own studio, your phones. And I was like, man, you know, we have all these tools at our disposal. You know, it's like get back to our simpler selves as musicians. Quit overthinking it and just
use the tools we got.
Use the tools we have and do what we love to do. Have fun with it. Just you know, make stuff we want to make. And if it sucks, it sucks. We won't put it out. But you know, just try things.
But you
Experiment.
should.
Yeah.
I think you should put it out. And let's come back to that.
We got one more.
Let's
One more
let's
segment?
take another break.
Una más cerveza, por favor.
And let's yeah, we'll be right back with a little bit more of Towne Adams, and we're probably going to start talking about some really bad decisions. I don't know. We'll see. So we'll be right back.
To the end, I'm on my way. And I'm on my way.
It's just it's so fascinating because these people are doing something they're not comfortable with,
Right.
and then while they're trying to figure out, he asks them some question, and you're like,
Well, you get an honest reaction.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's genuine. You know, I think a lot of people try so hard to put on a facade or be something. You know, I used to, I'm going to be this. So
Yeah.
just be yourself.
All right.
You know?
Speaking of facades,
Be
we're back.
Hello, Texas.
Yeah,
We're back.
We skipped the whole hey we're back. We just went into Storm faking it before you make it or what?
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
Man, it's funny. We was just talking about during the break. We was talking about a cooking show and everything, and we was talking about
Cooking with Storm.
Bert. What's
Bert Kreischer.
Bert Kreischer.
Bert.
Kreischer.
I am the machine.
Yeah.
If you don't know Bert Kreischer,
Check him out.
he's a
funny.
comedian. We're going to talk a little bit about social media. He knows social media more than anybody I've
Really
ever
good at
seen.
social media.
Go watch The Cabin on Netflix if you haven't seen that.
Oh, that
I've
is
been,
hilarious.
it's on my to-do list. I haven't got
It
there
is
yet.
so wrong on so many
Yeah.
levels. It is so inappropriate.
That's right down my alley. Inappropriate.
Enemas.
Yeah,
The
the coffee enemas.
coffee enemas.
That's all that needs to be said.
That, I don't.
I'm not
Moving
touching
on.
that.
Well,
Moving on. Let's go back to social media. So you guys are on social media. Where do we find Towne Adams Band? How do we find you? How do we connect with you?
Well, with the single Frisco, we're on Spotify. So
Right.
it's just Towne Adams Spotify.
Or Apple Music.
Yeah, we're on all the.
all your downloads or whatever.
But if you want to check out like shows, the best I like is Facebook. So it'd be Facebook
Towne Adams
/
Band.
Towne Adams Band.
Just search you out there on the old.
Yeah,
Facebook.
there's TowneAdams.com. There's the website.
We
It
do
needs
that,
a little
but that
updating.
it needs a little bit
Yeah.
of updating.
You know, we get so caught up in
Don't worry.
Instagram and
so
Facebook. and
Facebook's the
stuff.
most current.
Yeah,
So-
as far as
just
yeah,
want to know what's going on.
posting the shows that we got going on, Facebook and
Right.
Instagram is
Just
usually where we
become
go.
Become a
and-
fan. Go like
Yeah.
the page.
if
Yeah, well-
somebody's messaged you on Facebook, who's talking back to them?
Well, there's Towne Adams Facebook, and then there's Towne Adams Band, and then there's Storm Simpson. The Towne Adams Band we both kind of do, but it always
Okay.
says if it's me, it'll say Towne Adams Band posted by Storm.
Okay.
You know, it's usually him. Depends on how early in the morning it is. Sometimes it might be
Yeah.
me.
So if it's before 2, it's probably
It could be
not,
me.
It's probably
Could be
not
me.
Towne. Yeah. So
But I do get back to people.
Oh yeah,
I do
yeah,
all the time.
so you both got your cell phones?
yeah.
Hey, what is your favorite
Oh, that's a great question.
platform of music to listen to? What do you like? What is your favorite? Apple, y'all Spotify?
I use Apple Music just because of my iPhone. That's where I keep all my downloads and stuff.
So what do you
but
listen to right now? Let's open it up. Let's
Right
see.
now, Blacktop Mojo and Jason Isbell and Lucero.
Current song.
Let's
last
see.
song. What's yours, Towne? What
Oh,
you
I
got?
open mine up. It's Lucero's playlist that came up.
Okay.
I've
so
been
that-
listening to
is that
Lucero.
what- So if you hit play right now, that's what's playing.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
expecting-
When You're Gone, Lucero is what I was listening to when I pulled up.
So
I was
what
expecting
you
some
got,
Billie
Towne?
Eilish and some Carpenters.
I don't-
Yeah, I like the
You
Carpenters.
don't listen to music like that?
I really don't.
Towne barely knows how to use his
I
phone.
barely can check my email. But let's,
Sound like
That's
hardcore putting you on the spot right
That's
now.
a '90s bass
yeah,
player
let's
right
see.
there.
I
I don't know how to use a phone.
What I do, I usually YouTube, and
Yeah.
I got a YouTube playlist. Let's see what it
Let's
is.
see what the most recent thing that Towne Adams has been listening
I
to.
listen to a lot of weird. Oh, Drew Womack.
Oh, that's not weird.
That's solid.
That's legit right there.
Yeah, and I was watching John Daly interviews. I
Oh
love
my
John
God.
Daly.
We just got to
Hal-
meet Drew Womack a
Hal
couple weeks ago.
Ketchum.
Yeah?
Hal
Yeah.
Ketchum's one of my
I'll
favorites.
catch 'em.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that this fits. Drew
See, my
Womack.
YouTube playlist is
Gary
probably
Allen.
Blacktop Mojo and Avenue Rage.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of mixture. Oh, look, Mighty Joe Plum. You remember that band?
Filter.
Oh man,
So
Mighty
this is-
Joe Plum.
So
Yeah.
this is kind
that's
of
that's
listen to all
one of those
sorts of
things I
stuff.
haven't heard since.
Joe Plum?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
for since the what was that late '90s?
That was late '90s. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So I've got
Go
this
there,
one
crawling up the walls, Superman or whatever that song.
that's right.
That's a great song, dude.
Oh, yeah, I was listening to Guilty last night.
Oh yeah,
Matthew Ryan.
Matthew
That's
Ryan.
a great tune.
Yeah, a lot of people compare me to Matthew Ryan.
We
It's
actually
vocally.
used to cover that. We haven't done it in a while.
It's a good song.
Great tune.
Well, all his shit's good. We can't cuss, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, no, we're
there's random cats walking around
yeah,
here.
yeah, we're yeah. There's
Oh, Siamese, if you please.
what other artists are on a Towne Adams? And I asked this last week.
Yeah.
I think it's just a really good What if Towne Adams had his own radio station? If it was Towne Adams Radio on Spotify or whatever, what other artists are in?
I think they call it Jack FM.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Just a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Who should I expect to hear to be related to, like Frisco? What's playing with it?
Definitely Matthew Ryan. He's a great artist. And
Well, like Todd Snyder, we said earlier.
Todd Snyder.
We actually cover a Todd Snyder tune. That's
Which one?
all right guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
the-
it's one of my
oh.
favorites.
He's supposed to be playing in Temple in December.
Really?
I heard that rumor.
I think it's as of right now, it's still on too.
Wow.
We'll
we
be
need to
there
get that
for sure.
opener. We need to get
yeah,
that opener
we need
gig.
to open that show.
I
it's
don't know that they have an opener for that gig.
He
but-
did a podcast this morning, and really shouldn't say too much about this story, but this guy that's really sick that's in Hendersonville, Tennessee, good guy, I sent him a T-shirt, and he went on his podcast this morning
Really?
on Todd's, and he was wearing a Towne Adams T-shirt.
How cool is that?
It's very cool.
That is cool.
I didn't. Yeah.
Well, that kind of makes he's coming in December. Saying, hey, remember that podcast? That Towne, that's me.
yeah.
We need to open the show.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Actually, I don't
There's
know
a
if I
chance.
wanna open it. I wanna
There's a
just- I wanna
chance
just stand there
COVID
and walk
will
out
cancel it, but
Yeah.
as of right now, it's still
Everything.
on.
So I've got one last kind of a general question, and it just and we was talking about this earlier. We was talking about the song "Ain't Blue." And,
Okay, yeah.
And we was listening to that on the way over, and I love the song. And Melissa and I have this bad thing. A lot of times we'll listen to a
Bad
song,
thing. That's another one of our songs.
and we'll say, I love that song. Could you imagine? Especially if a musician has more than one style. All right, so to me, I think Ain't Blue and 1,000 Miles, I think those were maybe a little bit of a different time than what Frisco is for you, because I think they have.
Well,
a
like we were
little
talking about
different
earlier on the break, Ain't Blue, the recording version of it, that was before I was even in the band. Hey, you recorded that like 10 years ago,
One 10 years ago, but that
or 8 years ago.
was one of the last things that
But the way we do it live now isn't quite the same.
it's,
See,
yeah.
that's what we was going with.
And I did that with Zychek.
Yeah, oh yeah,
said,
David Zychek.
Wow.
Right. You did
There's
do
a
that song with
there's a
David
local
Zychek.
name that
That's right. I forgot you recorded that
Good
with
to drop.
Zychek before he passed.
And we did Zychek and I did a song for a movie right before he passed, and he wanted to play slide on the song. And I was like, do it, because it was like a driving song. I didn't write it. I just sang it and played harmonica, and he played slide. It was beautiful, and the movie never came out. It was a little indie film.
Really?
But he did a whole driving scene with the slide on guitar. It was so beautiful, and that's the last work I ever did with the man.
Do you
Oh,
have that?
man.
Huh?
do you have that somewhere?
Yeah, I got it somewhere. I gotta find it. It's so good.
See,
I'd be
that's-
interested in hearing that.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
the
a
song's
I'm a
good.
Zychek fan too.
The song is
Yeah.
the song
Yeah,
is
Yes.
that's Belton right
absolutely
there, so.
legit. Just
Yeah, I
like
forgot
it
you
is.
recorded that with Zychek. That's a lot of why it was so good. I mean,
Yeah.
Z was the man. I mean,
Z-Man.
he
So-
could do anything great.
Do you ever have people? Because we said, hey, can you imagine hearing this with almost a punk influence, or just speed the tempo up and make it just make it hit just a little bit harder?
It's that thing you do.
That
You ever seen
thing
that
you-
movie?
Yeah,
That song, they have that song. It's
You're
it's
playing
all
it
right.
wrong.
And then he plays it wrong. It turns into a hit. Sometimes a great song just needs a tempo change, or it
It's
needs
something. So
you know.
I think these things all the time, and then the question came: I wonder how artists feel when somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I really dig your art. Have you ever considered changing it and making it different?"
Well, but art is subjective. Art is
It's-
subjective.
Well, right, because for me, hey, I really like your picture. Have you ever thought about making it black and white? I'd like to have it black and white. No, asshole. If I wanted it black and white, I would have made it black and white
Well, I
to
think
begin with.
Some artists are
Some people are that
particular.
way.
Some
But
are.
me, I will say that, but go home and make it black and white and go, damn, that looks
Well,
pretty
I'm a
good.
bit-
I can't do anything with
I'm a
it
big
now.
fan of the covers. I like when a band covers a song by another band. Like, you take a.
But does it their
Well,
way?
It does it their way.
I was-
Sometimes they're failures. Sometimes they're.
I was telling him on the way up here when we were listening to your stuff and talking about Dylan.
Right.
I'm not a Dylan fan. Watching Dylan do his own songs, but when somebody covers a Dylan song, I'm a fan because of the lyric
Dylan really
and the
wasn't
way
a
it's
singer,
done.
but he could write great music.
Right.
He just couldn't. he couldn't sing it in a way with all the melodies and the production.
So-
he kept it raw and more poetic, which is what that's what made Dylan Dylan.
And that's why when I said I hear the Dylan in you, I see your words. I like to look at the lyrics when I'm. That's why I miss CDs.
Just so you know, when we say Dylan, we like the way you sound. As
Okay.
opposed
No. I like
Are
the
you saying
Sitting on the
I-
page
I like the
talking about
I like the
government.
poetry of your words. Is what I'm saying.
I appreciate
is
that.
that the line in Frisco, which is always going to be on a playlist, just because of that one line is what hooked me, and now the song is there. But now I lost my train of thought.
No, keep going. No, we were just talking about.
Well, you know, there's some bands that can take it. You know, one of my favorite bands, Blacktop Mojo. They're out of Palestine.
Okay.
I think you've seen
Yeah,
them before.
yeah.
Great guys, great band. They covered "Dream On" by Aerosmith, which is a song that I would never attempt to take on.
It's just big.
It's a
Yeah.
huge song. I'll take on a B-side and maybe give it a vibe. But they did "Dream On." Their version, I mean, I won't say it's better than Aerosmith, but it's heavier. It's got more, but it's kept the heart. And
But it gets to you.
But when I listen to "Dream On," I'll pick their version over the Aerosmith version. Just me.
Nothing against you.
nothing
It's
against Aerosmith. I love Aerosmith.
Well,
but
how does that?
who's
how
the
does
band
that
that did
make
Sound
you
of
feel?
Silence?
Does that bother you when somebody does that? Somebody says, "Hey,
that's
man,
a
I
tough
like
one.
it."
It's just a different spin on it.
Well, you hear it through your ears, and some
Yeah,
ears
well,
want to hear
well,
it
you-
different. You
No,
know?
I've heard people have covered, like you were saying, "Ain't Blue" and stuff like that. There's people that have covered that song, cover bands.
How do you feel about somebody
I like
suggesting that you do your song differently?
Oh,
that
doing
you
it
do your
different?
song differently.
I don't really mind it.
It's not
I'm
something
open.
You're going to do what you're going to do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it because I really love reggae a lot.
Funny
And
enough.
Well, that's where that little lick in Frisco. There's a lick in Frisco.
Yeah, it's got a
that
little-
Towne was like, make this sound reggae, and I'm like, oh, I don't play reggae, but okay.
I know
And-
what that is.
And,
Yeah.
and we did it. We did it in the studio, and Dempsey came in and helped me arrange the bass line that on the
Is he
upbeat.
playing guitar on that?
Yeah, he does the lead on that.
You can tell 'cause it's
yeah,
loud.
It sounds like Dempsey.
It's loud.
But yeah, but that whole little reggae thing was Townie's idea with the words that he wrote. He was like, let's put a reggae thing right here. This
Finally
just
feel
8 bars.
A
and-
little redemption.
And I'm like, all right, Dempsey, help me get that upbeat and
There's a
I
do a
2
little,
see
yeah,
that now.
I-
eight,
I-
eight
I
little
had-
bars of reggae.
I hadn't
in the
noticed
middle of
it, but I
a
know what
That
you're
was
talking
clever.
about.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
that's because Townie loves reggae, and I love reggae music. I can't play it. You know, I love listening to reggae bass players. I'm like, I can't do that. you
Man,
know?
see, I'm excited for you guys to put a lot more stuff out there because I'll tell you the only disappointing thing that I've experienced so far is there's not more to listen to.
Well, and that's what we've been talking about. We just got
A
the
lot.
Spotify up and running, and we're trying not to oversaturate. You know, I don't want to just dump everything on there.
No,
now.
I understand.
But yeah, definitely there's a little more exposure online.
A
and
lot of people have been saying that. They're like,
part of that's two old
just-
guys trying to figure out how to do all this.
Yeah.
You know, and put it out there.
Don't be
and-
afraid to ask. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people that know. I've had
Yeah.
to overcome that
because
Yeah.
people are like, I want to hear more than just Frisco. It's like, okay, yeah,
because there's more to you.
yeah,
There's a whole lot more.
yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I know about you through T.W. Sullivan at O'Brien's. and
Dude,
I-
TW's that guy. Man, he's been one of
Yeah.
our biggest supporters for a lot of years.
But we talked about this. T.W. tells me a lot of things, and I have
Yeah.
to.
Well, he sees it from so many perspectives. You know,
Right.
Doing the bands and the
Ju-
doors
just,
stuff.
just like me telling you about it, you just tune out. Like, okay, they're great. All right, I get it. TW, when I talked to him, I said I'm going to talk to Towne. He said we're friends for a long time. Look at all these other bands you should see too. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking.
Yeah.
And he's told me for a long time, you got to come. And unfortunately, on the 13th, I think you played O'Brien's. I was with Cody Cannon and Dalton Domino and couldn't make it. So
I might have, if I'd have known you were there, I'd have come with you and left the show.
yeah, but
I'm just kidding. I'm a big Cody Cannon fan, big Dalton Domino fan.
no, Cody Cannon with Whiskey Myers.
Cody
Yeah.
Cannon.
That was
Chefs.
yeah.
It was an acoustic show.
How did I miss that one?
But I knew you were there, and I was like, I got to get out of here, and just didn't happen. So eventually, you're going to play O'Brien's, and I'm gonna be there probably the
I think
next
that's one thing
time.
about Towne Adams Band too is like you can listen to and the recordings are great, but it's really a live experience.
I can
You know?
I can hear that.
Because what we do, even in the recordings, it isn't always the same. Towne, one of my biggest pet peeves with him is like, all right, give me the first 3 songs of the set at least. Give me 3. Because after that, there's no set list. Towne, I'll spend an hour, we'll write one out. And 3 songs in, Towne's
So it's how you feel.
It's,
so
yeah,
very
he,
much.
he plays off the crowd and off him,
And
his
tell,
heart.
tell stories and all that good stuff.
You know?
That's old school, I think. I think that's from
I
playing in the
get
80s and 90s.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get used to that playing with him. I was always a guy that rehearsed, had a set list, and you
Well,
play it
that's
this
just how
way.
it works, right? That's the mechanical
But with Towne,
part of
It's a
that.
it
live
was so
show.
uncomfortable, but
It's a live show. Yeah.
But what made it not uncomfortable was the way Towne orchestrates it, because it's so natural for him. When he goes off script and does it, it's not a facade. It's not, I'm going to play this part. Like, Towne's just going where Towne goes.
It goes with the
And
flow.
as a good bass player, my job is to follow and support.
Well, that's what I was supposed to
And-
ask. As a musician in the band, does that put more pressure on you guys to have to know
no,
what's
does.
I mean,
coming?
it puts
does.
more pressure as far
And
as
you know this. Then.
It puts pressure on the
it puts
band.
pressure on us as
You're
far
okay
as,
with it,
as knowing
right?
the music. And
That's
and,
a pro. I mean, that's
but they're in your band, so that means they're solid enough to handle the job.
Well, when
You
I do
know
that
this
with
how it works.
like I play
They'll
with
figure it out,
other guys
yeah.
like Jeremy Woodall who do that, it puts a lot more pressure on me because I've only played with him a few times here and there, and so I'm like, oh, I gotta, But with Towne, we've been playing together so long, I kind of feel I'm comfortable. When Towne goes left, I know where he's going now, and so it's kind
You at
of
least know how to feel your
it kind
way
of
through
falls
it.
into place. Exactly. It's not an unrehearsed. Let's just go left.
long as the-
We've rehearsed.
As long as
a
the bass and
certain
drummer know
way,
where
but
you're going, then the guitar
Yeah.
player just figure it out later.
Yeah,
so.
well, when you have a great guitar player like Jody Harland, it's just like, all right, we're doing this song, and we put a different groove to it, and Towne goes here, and he just follows, and he puts his, we all put our little stamp on it. He's the conductor doing this, and I'm the guy going, all right, here we go, and it all just kind of
And y'all
falls.
pull it together.
Yeah, and it works. And some nights, we've fallen flat on our face some nights,
Now, I've seen
but
y'all here a couple times, and man, it's always been a good show. Hey, tell you what, I'm always ticked off because I'm not catching more shows. Every Towne Adams show I've ever seen, I go into it and I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed the show because it
thank you.
just melts your face off.
I appreciate that.
You know,
you.
and always go into it going, okay, here we go, it's a live show, and always walk away going, damn.
Well, I think it's
how
because
do I not remember that?
it's because it's a momentary thing. Because when we're up there, even for us, it's just we're just living in that moment, wherever that moment takes us. Sometimes it's a look from Towne, sometimes it's a way he'll strum something. We just kind of go with it.
How do you feel
and for
about-
us, it's momentary.
How do you feel about requests when people come up and
We don't know a lot of covers.
Yeah.
or
We
even,
only-
or even
we
your
only
own
know
songs,
so many covers,
even your own
so
songs?
it's hard to play them.
Do you just go with the flow, or do you try to?
Well, a lot of times we don't get many requests because people pretty much know if they're going to one of our shows that's not going to happen. So,
Good.
It's kind of an understood.
Play Brown Eyed Girl.
it's
What?
a-
Screaming that shit
It's
out
a
of
pet
me,
peeve of mine
dogs.
when people say, "Play Fargo first song." I mean, but play
Sit down and
Yeah,
listen to the
I'm the
show.
I'm
bass
like-
player, and I'll tell Towne, let's play this song. He'll tell me, no, not now. We'll play it later. I'm like, okay. It's all a matter of just,
I gotta
gotta
feel
fit
it.
where he's at, because if he's not feeling it now, it's not going to come across the same way it will in 45 minutes when he's ready to play it. It's just about the way the crowd's vibing and the way we're doing it on
Right.
stage. Towne just kind of navigates it.
and especially like songs that are more vocally for me, like talking about higher notes for me, because I like doing that kind of stuff. But like I said, I wasn't raised a singer. I taught myself how to sing, and so like higher note songs and playing harmonica like I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, people will like yell at a song like right away, and I'm just not ready for it. And I'm just like, thank you.
I need 3 more shots of tequila.
We gotta warm
Thank
up.
you,
Warm up.
but
We'll get to that
This
one.
ain't gonna have it. Yeah.
not yet. I'm
We'll
sorry.
get to that. We'll get to that one.
We'll get there eventually.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, we take the long way around, but
Yeah,
we'll get
slow,
there.
slow your roll. We'll get there. I love you. Thank you for requesting, but it's gonna take a second.
It'll
Yeah.
sound better if you give us 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think one of the things, and we're going to wrap this thing up here. I think one of the things I appreciate the most out of you guys is if you haven't stayed in touch with kind of what you guys have got going on, it's like you realize, you go, oh, there might be something going on here, and y'all aren't spending a lot of time talking about it. Y'all
You're
are
just doing
being
it.
about
Yeah,
it.
y'all are just out there gigging and
Yeah, you're just doing it. You're not talking about it. You're just doing it. Now, from a social media
We need to get
standpoint,
better at talking
I'm gonna
about
say
it.
talk about it a
Yeah.
little bit more. But I don't mean that from look at us. We're doing these great things over here, and you should be watching. And don't you know how great we are over here? You're not doing that.
y'all are some old rats eating in a new restaurant. You just got.
You're just getting after it.
Just like to play.
And,
Yeah.
and I think
Make
it's I
music.
think it's really cool that y'all are just like everybody else, man. Y'all are trying to explore what tools you have available, and you're trying to figure it out as you go, and doing your very best to stay up with an industry that is evolving daily,
Yeah, ever changing.
and trying to figure out how to make all this work to your benefit, so people can not be disappointed when
It's
they go
just
to
about
town.
making music and putting it out there and letting people hear it. Not necessarily so we're making money on it, but the more people that hear the music, the more people we're connecting with, and that's what music really is
so you
about.
keep going.
It's just about giving us the opportunity to be able to play, and we can't play if people aren't connecting, and so
Sure.
it's this mutually symbiotic relationship between the fans and the artists, and it's not about ego or hits. It's just about getting out there and having a good time. Letting people
Somebody
forget
connects
about COVID and forget about politics and forget just come out to a Friday night show and have a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah.
And
I get
hear
that.
some music that might touch you in a way, make you think a little different.
Cool.
Must be a Cowboys score.
Cowboys fumble.
Cowboys game.
What happened?
going on.
Cowboys fumble?
I don't know.
Somebody
Score?
fumbled.
Cowboy game's on over there, so I'm sure something's going on.
Man, listen.
This is fun.
I appreciate y'all very much for taking the time
Thank
to
y'all.
come last minute.
I hope it wasn't too painful. I hope it was.
No, yeah, definitely.
Man, there's some things here I would have never known. I'm grateful to know who you are a little bit more.
Odors are like onions.
Yeah.
Man, that makes me want to listen that much more.
I won't order you a burger the next time we go out
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah, I know that.
It's going to be a veggie burger, though.
I'll eat his burger.
Yeah. You can order.
He gets
you can
the
order
lettuce
the
and
burger,
tomato.
but no cow.
Yeah. Cow.
Cowless burger.
Burger.
Man, thank y'all very much.
Thank you,
for
guys.
being
Enjoyed
here
it.
with us.
Appreciate it.
Man, you got anything else?
Yeah, I do, but we could stay here all night and talk about it. So
Yeah.
Well, let's I want
There's
to thank
always
Backyard
tomorrow.
for giving us a
Letting-
little corner off to the side. They kind of turned the music down
Yeah.
for us, and
Yeah.
kind of been taking care of us. And I really do appreciate
and
it.
Panhandle
just
Hat
thanks
Company.
for showing up. I mean,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Panhandle
Yeah.
hats.
Panhandle
Thank
Hat
you, guys.
Company.
Hey, check them out. PanhandleHat.com. Great hats.
Yeah. Anybody else we need to make sure we mention Panhandle Hat Company.
Sebby Music Group.
Yep.
a wife or
Texas,
kids somewhere.
Texas Booking. TexasBookingAgency.com.
Yeah, it's Spirits.com.
SilverSpirits.com. Yeah. I don't know, man. There's so many. Should have asked me at the beginning.
Exactly.
Anybody we forgot, we'll get you next time.
Yes. Thank y'all so
Well,
much
thank
for
y'all.
having
No,
us.
No,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Thank y'all,
It
man.
was awesome.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it was
Thank y'all
fun.
so much.
Tim Murphy.
Storm
For-
Simpson.
I
Storm
love you,
Simpson,
brother.
Towne Adams.
I'm
Uh,
Tim
uh,
Murphy.
hey.
I'm Steve Peters, and the lovely
The heart and
Melissa
soul
running.
of the whole operation.
Look,
Melissa.
Melissa took over everything behind
Yes,
the scenes.
Melissa's back there.
all of the
How
audio
is it
and
the
video.
prettiest face in the whole group is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come on.
Brains. There's beauty. I'm the brains.
She's the brains and the beauty.
the brains and the beauty.
Jesus Christ.
Just call me Storm.
Oh, my God, here we go. Man, Texas, we thank y'all,
Thank
everybody.
For Hello
That's it.
Texas. See y'all later.
Bye, Texas.